Hello, and welcome to the Daily Slow English Podcast. Today, we have a very special episode for you. We are going to talk about a topic that interests everyone, wealth.
That's right. But we're going to share some secrets that might shock you. What if I told you that most real millionaires don't live in giant houses or drive fancy cars?
And what if we told you that many people with very high incomes are actually living paycheck to paycheck? They're trapped and stressed about money, even though they look successful.
In this episode, we will show you the big difference between looking rich and actually being rich. We will even share a simple formula you can use to see if you are on the right track to building wealth.
We'll share the 7 key habits that real millionaires use to build their fortunes. And at the end, we will give you 5 simple, practical steps you can start today.
This episode is packed with useful information. It's also a great way to practice your English and learn some very practical vocabulary. Be sure to listen to the very end. You don't want to miss the final action plan.
Let's start with a quick exercise. When you hear the word millionaire, what do you see in your mind? For most people, it's an image from a movie or social media. You probably picture a huge mansion in a fancy neighborhood. Maybe a Ferrari or a Bentley is parked in the driveway. The person is wearing designer clothes and an expensive watch. They're living a life of luxury and showing the world they are successful. Well, I have some surprising news for you. That picture is almost completely wrong. It's a myth. Research shows that most real millionaires are invisible. They don't live in fancy neighborhoods or drive new, expensive cars. They're much more likely to be your neighbor in a normal, middle-class home. They probably drive a 5-year-old Toyota or Ford. This is the norm, not the exception. The pressure to look rich is a trap. It is the biggest thing that stops people from actually becoming wealthy. The people who win the game of wealth are the ones who refuse to play the game of status.
So, if the person with the fancy lifestyle isn't truly wealthy, what are they? Today, we have a modern term for them: Henry. Henry stands for high earner, not rich yet. A Henry is someone who makes a fantastic income. They could be a doctor, a lawyer, or a tech professional earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. On paper, they look very successful. But in reality, they feel constant stress about money. They are living paycheck to paycheck, despite their huge earnings. Let me tell you a quick story about a fictional couple, Emily and David. She's a doctor and he's a lawyer, and together they earn $450,000 a year. They decide to buy a big, beautiful house in a neighborhood with good schools. This one decision starts a chain reaction. Their new neighbors all drive luxury cars, like BMWs and Audis. Soon, Emily and David feel pressure to get new luxury cars, too. Then they feel they need expensive furniture for their new house. Their social life becomes very expensive, with country club memberships and fancy dinners. On the outside, they look like the perfect, successful family. But under the surface, they have a lot of credit card debt. They have very little money in their savings account. Despite their huge income, they are trapped, working hard just to pay for their lifestyle. They are classic Henrys.
We've just seen how high income doesn't mean you are wealthy. Now, it's time to learn the single most important lesson for building wealth. If you only remember one thing from today, let it be this. Wealth is not the same as income. Let me say that again. Wealth is not the same as income. Income is what you earn each month from your job. Wealth is what you keep and what you own. Think of it like this. Your income is like water flowing from a faucet into a bucket. The flow can be big or small. But wealth is not the flow of water. Wealth is the amount of water that is actually in the bucket at the end of the day. All of your spending on things like cars, clothes, and vacations are like leaks in the bucket. A person with a huge income, but a bucket full of leaks, can end up with less water than someone with a small, steady income and a solid bucket. This is why we need to focus on a different number. Not your income, but your net worth. Your net worth is very simple to calculate. It is your assets minus your liabilities. Assets are everything you own that has value, like cash, investments, and the part of your house you own. Liabilities are everything you owe, like your mortgage, car loans, and credit card debt. People who focus on income want to earn more so they can spend more. People who build wealth focus on net worth. They want to turn their income into assets that will grow.
Now, let's make this personal. It's time to calculate your personal wealth score. There is a simple formula that tells you what your net worth should be, based on your age and income. Here is the formula. Your expected net worth equals your age, multiplied by your annual pre-tax household income, all divided by 10. Let's say that again. Age times income, divided by 10. Let's use an example. Imagine Sarah. She is 30 years old and earns $70,000 a year. We take her age, 30, and multiply it by her income, $70,000. That gives us $2,100,000. Then, we divide that by 10. Sarah's expected net worth is $210,000. This is a benchmark. It is a target for someone her age and at her income level. Now think about our high-earning couple, Emily and David. Let's say they are 42 years old with an income of $450,000. Their expected net worth should be almost $1.9 million. But because of their high-spending lifestyle, their actual net worth is probably close to zero. This formula shows the huge gap between what is possible and what is actually happening. It shows the real cost of their lifestyle.
Now it's your turn to use the formula. Calculate your expected net worth. Then, compare it to your actual net worth. This will tell you where you are on the wealth-building journey. There are 3 categories. First, the prodigious accumulator of wealth, or PAW. You are a PAW if your actual net worth is 2 times your expected net worth or more. You are a master at turning your income into wealth. Second, the average accumulator of wealth, or AW. This is when your actual net worth is about the same as your expected net worth. And third, the underaccumulator of wealth, or UAW. You are a UAW if your actual net worth is half your expected net worth or less. This shows that your lifestyle is consuming too much of your income. Let's describe the differences between these 2 groups. PAs are focused on financial independence, while UAWs focus on high social status. The most important number for a PAW is their net worth. For a UAW, it's their annual income. PAs live in modest homes and drive reliable used cars. UAWs live in expensive homes and drive new luxury cars, often with a loan. This shows that the difference is not about how much you earn. It's about how you live.
So, how do you become a PAW? It all starts with the first and most important habit. Live well below your means. This phrase is common, but it's also misunderstood. It does not mean living a miserable life. It is about being intentional. It's about consciously choosing where your money goes. To understand this, we need to know the difference between being frugal and being cheap. Being cheap is about paying the lowest price today, no matter what. A cheap person buys shoes for $40 that fall apart in 6 months. Being frugal, however, is about getting the most value. A frugal person might spend more on high-quality shoes that will last for a decade. Frugality is about playing the long game. Real millionaires are masters of frugality. The data is shocking. Most millionaires live in normal, middle-class neighborhoods. And what about their cars? The most popular car brands for millionaires are not Mercedes or BMW. They are Toyota, Honda, and Ford. The true wealth builder rarely buys a new car because it loses value so quickly. They understand that every dollar you don't spend on a status symbol is a dollar you can invest. It's a dollar that can work for you to build your freedom.
The second pillar is about how you manage your resources. Truly wealthy people know they must manage 3 things: their time, their energy, and their money. I want you to start thinking of yourself as the CFO or Chief Financial Officer of your household. Your job is to use all your resources to increase your family's net worth. Let's start with time. Wealth builders, or PAWs, spend nearly twice as much time on financial planning as UAWs do. A PAW spends about 8 to 10 hours a month reviewing their budget and tracking their investments. Where do UAWs spend their time? They spend it shopping for luxury goods and planning expensive vacations. It's a choice. Do you want to be an expert on new cars or an expert on your own finances? The most powerful tool for a CFO is the budget. A budget is not a restriction. It is a tool for freedom. It is a plan that tells your money where to go. A simple way to start is the 50/30/20 rule. Use 50% of your after-tax income for your needs, like housing and food. Use 30% for your wants, like hobbies and entertainment. And the most important part, 20% goes directly to savings and paying off debt. Another key rule is to pay yourself first. This means the first thing you do when you get paid is to automatically transfer money to your savings and investment accounts. You treat your future as your most important bill.
Now we need to talk about the why. Why would someone live a life of discipline when they could afford to spend more? The answer is the third pillar. Wealth builders value financial independence far more than they value showing off their social status. They are playing a different game. The UAW's goal is to impress others. They are always thinking, what will people think of my house or my car? The pause goal is to be secure and free. They are thinking, do I have control over my own life? So, what is financial independence? It is the point where you no longer have to work for money. The money from your investments is enough to cover all your living expenses. Work becomes a choice, not a necessity. That is the ultimate form of wealth. The rewards a UAW gets are temporary. It's the thrill of buying something new. The rewards a PAW gets are permanent. It is the deep feeling of security. It is the peace of mind that lets you sleep at night. It is control over your own time, which is your most precious asset. This leads to a very freeing idea. The Joneses are broke. That family you are trying to keep up with, the one with the perfect house and the new car, they are probably UAWs. They are likely in a lot of debt to pay for that lifestyle. Trying to be like them is a recipe for financial disaster.
Now we come to one of the most emotional parts of money, family. Wealthy parents often make a big mistake. The book calls this mistake economic outpatient care, or EOC. EOC is when parents give regular financial gifts to their adult children who are capable of supporting themselves. This is not about paying for a college education, which is a great investment. EOC is about paying the rent for your 28-year-old son who has a job. It is covering the car payment for your 30-year-old daughter. Parents do this because they love their children. They think they are helping, but the research shows that EOC is very harmful. It creates dependency. The adult child never learns to solve their own financial problems. It also creates entitlement. They start to expect the money. And worst of all, it can damage their self-esteem. They might feel deep down that they can't make it on their own. So, how do wise parents avoid this trap? They follow a few simple rules. Rule 1. Never tell your children that you are wealthy. Let them find their own way. Rule 2. No matter how wealthy you are, teach your children discipline and frugality. Rule 3. Praise their achievements, like their hard work and kindness, not their status symbols. In this way, you give them something more valuable than money. You give them the skills to build their own successful and independent life.
So far, we have focused on playing great defense with your money. This means controlling your spending. But you also need to play offense. This means generating income. The final pillars are about choosing the right career. The research found something very interesting about self-employment. A business owner is 4 times more likely to become a millionaire than an employee. But what kind of businesses are they? They are not glamorous tech startups. They are often what the book calls dull normal businesses. Think of services that people always need, like welding, pest control, or auto parts. These businesses are very profitable but not very glamorous. This lack of glamour is a secret weapon. The owner of a plumbing supply company doesn't feel pressure to drive a Lamborghini. This allows them to invest their profits instead of spending them on status symbols. But what if you are not an entrepreneur? You can still become a millionaire as an employee. The top 5 professions for millionaires are not what you might think. They are engineer, accountant, teacher, manager, and attorney. What do these jobs have in common? First, they are stable professions with steady incomes. Second, they have good retirement plans that encourage saving. And finally, they have a low lifestyle overhead. This means that society doesn't expect a teacher or an engineer to live in a mansion and drive a Porsche. This lack of social pressure makes it much easier to save a large part of their income. It makes their path to wealth much smoother.
We have covered a lot of information. Knowledge is useless without action. So, this final part is your personal blueprint. We are going to break it down into 5 small, simple moves you can make in the next 24 hours. Move 1. Calculate your number. Tonight, use the formula age X income /10. Then calculate your actual net worth. Write both numbers down. This is your starting line. Move 2. Track everything. For the next 7 days, write down every single dollar you spend. The goal is simply to build awareness. You will be surprised where your money goes. Move 3. Automate $50. Tomorrow, go to your online bank account. Set up an automatic transfer of $50 from your checking to your savings account. This builds the habit of paying yourself first. Move 4. Make one value-based cut. Look at your spending from the week. Find one recurring expense that doesn't bring you real value, like a streaming service you never use. Cancel it. Then, redirect that money to your savings or debt. Move 5. Have the talk. If you have a partner, schedule a team meeting about your finances. Share what you've learned and talk about your shared goals. Getting on the same page is critical for success. 5 small moves. That is how you start. Being rich is not really about having $1 million. It is about what that money represents. It represents a life of discipline, intention, and purpose. But most of all, it represents freedom. The freedom from anxiety about money. The freedom to spend your most precious asset, your time, exactly as you choose. The blueprint is now in your hands. The only question is, will you choose to build?